Hello, my name is Allie. If you are new here, I do all things cleaning, small house motivation, organizing. In today's video, it is going to be a realistic small kitchen organization. We're going to do some decluttering. I'm going to do some uninfluencing in my pantry. It's going to be as realistic as you can get because we are not going to go purchase any organizing systems or bins or anything like that. We're going to use what we have, and I already have a good system in play. I absolutely love these turntables for my spices, and I used to be one of those people that put all their spices into different containers. And if you have a small kitchen or just limited storage like I do, then having an additional container around just is not feasible. So what I was finding is I would have all these cute jars, and then I would have all of like the backflow of spices somewhere else, and it would get lost and stuff would get expired and all of this. Now I haven't gone through these spices in 2 years. 2 years. So that's why a lot of them were expired and I did have to throw them out, which pains me. I hate throwing away food. It really, especially now with how times are and how expensive everything is. But we recently got a smoker, not recently, I guess 2 years ago we got a smoker, and you know how men are, they gotta buy every seasoning thing that they can get at the grocery store, and then you end up not liking half of them, and that's really what happened, is we didn't like a lot of them, or we got a lot of similar ones, and we preferred other ones over that. Now, I really like these turntables because you can see all of the spices that you have, and typically we use the same amount of spices. I feel like they hold a good amount, but also like we are just your basic oregano, parsley, garlic powder type of spices. I try to stick to like more natural spices. I know when you get into some of the spices blends, there's a lot of preservatives and stuff in there, when in reality you can make your own for the same thing. So I know like the onion soup mix, it has milk in it, so I make my own. And then the ranch seasoning, I make my own ranch seasoning, and same with taco seasoning. And I'll show you, there's a huge taco thing that we bought or somehow ended up with, and we never use it because I have my own taco seasoning that I make. And I've been just making it, like every time we make tacos, I need to make like a big batch of it. But it is so much better than the taco seasoning you can buy right there, that big jar, as you see. And it even expired, so I don't know how we ended up with it. So I know I've mentioned this in other videos, but if you're new, I was a stay-at-home mom for 6 years, and then this past year, my youngest started kindergarten, so I did go back to work, and I only went back to work part-time. It wasn't nothing crazy, but man, I really fell off the wagon. I used to bake my own bread. I used to make all my own seasonings, all my own dressings. I was making a lot of things from scratch. And then I went back to work, and it was like all of that stuff that I really enjoyed doing just went out the window because I didn't have time for it. So I'm trying to get that back. I know by the time I get it back, school will start and we'll be in full school mode and sports mode. But this is another thing, like, just I want to live simpler. We are spending a lot of time at home this summer. I've given myself like a $40 budget a week to take the kids to do something, and typically we just go to the pool. But other than that, like, we are trying to stay home because we're trying to save money, honestly. And anytime you leave the house, it's like $100 minimum with 5 people. And that's just if you go out to eat and don't do anything else. So we're really trying to just take it slow this summer. We're trying to not spend as much money on eating out, and we're not buying anything that's unnecessary. I know I'll have to be school shopping soon and that kind of thing, so that's obviously a must, and we'll need new shoes and new clothes and stuff, but I'm not getting all the other little things that we typically would buy. So now we're in the pantry, and I have a love-hate relationship with organizing bins in general. Most things work great with a bin, but it is so trendy to go spend all this money on organizing bins, and half the time it's not functional. At least for me, it's not. I know I see it function for a lot of people, but we just are not, we don't live that way. I don't know. I don't know how other people can do it, but I love the way it looks in their house. But I'm actually going to get rid of these Dollar Tree bins. They might come back, they might not, but you can't see what's in them, and it doesn't hold, like, you'll see how much space I have now in my pantry when I take all these bins out, but I feel like clear bins may work good, but I am too cheap to spend $300 on organizing bins from, like, the home edit line or whatever to do this whole pantry, and I would need big ones. So if I need organization bins, I do go to Dollar Tree. I really like these organizing bins, and I'm going to keep them. I use them in all of the closets and stuff like that because you can basically see what's in them, but, they're super cheap. And I really like the shoebox bins that are $1. They're clear. I do like clear bins or white bins or black bins or something that's like a neutral color, but clearly, like, in this bin, I cannot see what is even in there. So I like to set it up basically like you're going to the store. Like, I want everything to be in a line where it is and where it goes, so then I know exactly what I'm missing. So, like, I really liked how I had this set up to where I had, like, a chili bin, a tuna casserole bin, a taco bin. So I'm still going to piece all of those together just outside of the bin so you can see it a lot better. And when I'm taking grocery inventory for what we actually need, then I can just write it down and I can see easily. And this is basically like the tuna casserole and pasta in general is kind of just like oh crap, I didn't take anything out for dinner. We need something quick. Now it's kind of set up by section, but kind of like how it would be in the store. So like we have chili, stuff to make tuna casserole, tacos, sides, and then all pasta stuff and whatnot. And then I cleaned up this, so obviously I need to get some more canned goods, but it is canning season, so I plan to can some stuff. Now, if I had it my way, I would just rip this out and make like a wood shelf, but this isn't our forever home, so I don't really want to put the money into it when it works. It just is annoying. But they make cans nowadays, like, you can't stack them on top of each other nicely anymore. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. Okay, so here's another example. This is like our snack cabinet. I do have some bins that are clear. I got from TJ Maxx years and years and years ago. But then, like, all of our chips, I'm not putting that in an additional separate bin. I've done it and I hate it. And then you have to clean it out between bags, and I don't like it. But I do like to have all of the snack items that's like already in prepackaged in bins. So then you can grab it out and it's easy to see what you have, but it's also not taking up a lot of space that the packages take up. So this is an example of, I like bins, but then I don't like to empty everything out that isn't pre-packaged. This is such a chatty video, but I am just in a chatty mood this morning filming this voiceover. I'm actually sitting out on my back porch, so you might hear like the pond and the birds chirping, but I just love sitting out here and doing my voiceovers. It is so calming and peaceful. So I do really like that, but I do have a ton of new friends on here, so I would really love it if you would introduce yourself in the comments and tell me where you're from and if you have any kids or not, if you're a stay-at-home mom or a working mom. This is a judgment-free zone here. If you need help with your house or advice or anything like that, I do have my Instagram linked. That is the best way to message me, and you can follow me over there. It is a bit more personal and like day-to-day life on Instagram. I do post some reels and stuff like that occasionally, but I'm not very good at Instagram either. I recently just stopped doing TikTok. I'm not gonna get on there. Anytime I get on there, it's just people promoting TikTok ads or TikTok shop. And I've even got some free samples from them, and then ended up sending the stuff back because I didn't even want to make a video, because that's not who I am. I'm not like, oh, you need to go get this. I did a couple videos and I was like, this is not me. I don't want to do this. And if this is how I don't know. Everybody is just out there to make money, I feel like, on TikTok, and not to be like the influencer part. So people who I loved to watch, all they're doing is TikTok shop ads. Anyways, now we are in this fridge, and I didn't even think it was that dirty until I seen the after, and I was like, oh my goodness. Like, I had something leak and then spill all down the front of the fridge. So that's what that is, and it ended up getting all over everything. But I didn't realize it was as dirty as it was. So there's some good after shots. I was doing this in between of everybody being home. So it kind of, like, there is some footage that is kind of like choppy and missed. And that's just because I would forget to record, and I would like put it all back. And then my husband was like, hey, let's go here. And I had everything out of the fridge. So I was like, okay, let me just put everything away really quick. And I forgot to hit record. So it's stuff like that, kind of. So I do apologize for that. I do not know what I'm doing on here. I'm still just winging it and kind of recording and then editing. So thank you guys for sticking around and watching my videos as I continue to learn and post. I'm sure I will get better. Everything, just like practice makes perfect. Also, if you guys do have kids, leave me a comment on how old they are. I'm curious to know how old everybody's kids are. I know I will be 30 in July, and my kids are 10, 8, and 6, so I had them fairly young. So a lot of my peers are just starting to have kids, or their oldest is my youngest age. So I feel like I'm on like a different level than a lot of moms, and then a lot of moms who are on my level are a lot older than me. So, because I did have kids like right off the bat, super young, but I absolutely love that. I knew I wanted to be a mom. Like, that's the only thing I cared about, was being a mom. So with that, this has been the hardest summer transition for us. I don't know if it's because that last one is in kindergarten and now he's going into first grade. So it's just like all chaos has broke loose. And just a quick tip to put all your vegetables and fruits in mason jars or just glass containers in general. It will help them keep fresh so much longer. Plus, it is so much more convenient to see what is in the jars, and that it's easier to get if you just pre-cut them and wash them and then put them in the jars. Okay, back on the kid topic. So I decided to cut out basically all electronics for my kids this summer, just to see how their behavior is, and just like the fighting and the whining and the lack of motivation that they have had. And I think part of it is because we went from, being in school 5 days a week to having baseball 4 to 5 days a week. And then, summer started and we did completely nothing. But I also, I quit the YouTube. They were watching YouTube on the TV, so I could kind of monitor what they were watching, because they don't watch the kid stuff anymore. Now that they're older, my daughter would watch makeup and all this stuff, and then my boys are, super into video games, so they will watch video game YouTube stuff, and I'm just over it. That's all they wanted to do 24/7. So I'm like, you know what? We're completely cutting it off. We got rid of YouTube, period, and they're only allowed to watch anything on Disney, really, is what they can watch. So they can watch one movie or a couple shows, but we're not going to sit inside and watch TV all day either. Or we're not going to sit, I'm making them play with their toys. They're getting crafty again, and then they're just using their imagination, and they're playing outside, and it's just making me happy. And I feel like it's really at the age that they are where they don't really want to play anymore, but like I played until I was like in high school. No joke, I played. And even when I hit high school, we were always playing some type of game outside or sport or all of that. So here's where I kind of chopped up some of the clips, but this is the after. Look at how stunning this looks. And just another tip is I do put a Lazy Susan on that top shelf because it's like impossible to fit anything on that top shelf. So I just do a Lazy Susan, that way I'm not moving stuff around. And then I did still need to do the door side. So I know a lot of people like the chatty videos, but some also like the voice, or not the voiceovers, the music in the background. So I'm going to do like a mix of those videos, but this video is just going to be super chatty today. Another thing about myself is in my cleaning videos, it will be very rare to see me dressed up or not in PJs. When I'm home and when I'm cleaning, I just want to be super comfortable. And while I love outfits and jewelry and makeup and doing my hair and stuff, this heat always unmotivates me. Like, I want to be as comfortable as possible. We're not going to have no makeup on. We're going to have our hair up because I hate the feeling of being hot and sweaty and uncomfortable. So on this channel, we are just laid back. You might see multiple outfit changes because my temperature of my body is not normal. I'm either sweating or I'm freezing cold. So like today, like right now, I was hot, so I had to put shorts on and take my flannel off. But then in some clips, you see me with PJs and the flannel or whatever it is, and that's just because I have a thyroid issue, so I blame it on that. But with that being said, I do typically dress up more in the fall and winter, spring times. But in the summers, like, I just want a good pair of athletic shorts and a t-shirt. I'm actually really loving Target's t-shirts that I recently got. I think it was like in the springtime. They are like boutique soft. Like, they're not like your normal t-shirts you would get at the store. I can't describe it. They're just so soft. And I know I've influenced some of my girlfriends to get him, so that's really cool. So let's talk about my fridge. You literally see nobody with this style fridge, and I wanted this style fridge so bad because this is what I grew up with, and it functioned so well, at least so I thought. But I mean, I wasn't cleaning the fridge and the freezer out, my mom was. And then as soon as I got it, I immediately was like, why didn't I get one of the French door with like the freezer on the bottoms? But I've had a fridge with like the fridge is on the bottom and like the freezer's on the top. But I mean, is any fridge good? I'm curious to know if you've had my style fridge and freezer, and then if you've had the French doors with the freezer on the bottom. Now, we do have a fridge in the garage that has the freezer on the top. So we keep a lot of overstocked items in that fridge, and then we actually have 2 meat freezers. We get a cow every year, and then we're big hunters, so we have all of that meat that we store as well. And typically we go through it all. I really rarely buy meat from the store. I'll buy like the ham steaks and brats and hot dogs and stuff like that. But when it comes to like chicken and pork and beef, all of that comes from a butcher. It is way cheaper, and you get so much better quality meat. So in this freezer, basically all I keep in here is stuff that's opened that needs to be used up first before I go to like the overstock freezer. So I keep like breakfast items and then chicken nuggets, and then for some reason we had like 5 bags of opened fries that were like half finished. So I'm glad I got all that cleaned out because now I can see what I actually have. And then now we're just in like the cleaning portion of the video. Also, we have a new rule in the house. If you don't put your dish in the dishwasher and I find out who it is, that person is loading the dishwasher that night. But you guys, this is the first day in like since I started my Taking My House Back series and all of that dishes have been in the sink, and that's because we had 3 meals one day, and then we ended up having 3 meals the next day, back to back, so I was way behind on the dishwasher part. But other than that, like, they have been staying on top of putting their dishes away, which saves me having to do it. But again, it'll still be like the occasional, we need to load the dishwasher. And another thing we've been doing to save money is I am literally packing this cooler anytime we leave the house, just to throw a couple bottles of water in there and some snacks and anything that we might need when we're out, even if we're only out for an hour or two. Like when we go to the pool, I just pack lunch and I take it with us, plus a ton of snacks and drinks and stuff. That way we're not buying any of those things when you're out. That is one thing I'm trying to break my husband on, because he thinks anytime he leaves the house, you have to go to the gas station. So I'm like, nope, we don't have to go because I brought you Mountain Dew or I brought drinks or whatever. And that saves so much money. Anytime you leave the house and you go to the gas station for 5 people, that's $20. And that's just on drinks. And so another way to cut back on money is, like, if your kids do sports, buying from the concession stand. I know that supports the boosters, and I'm not saying you have to do this every single time, but when my daughter was doing cheer last year, I purposely would not take any cash. And then I would tell my kids, like, look, I don't have any cash, we'll have to get it next time. Or if your kids have, like, fear of missing out like mine, you can always stock up on candy in the week when you're doing your grocery shop. Those dollar boxes of candy, we typically always have some of those on hand we can take somewhere in that sort of situation. So it's like, oh, okay, you already have some suckers, or you already have this, or in this economy, everybody can afford to save a little bit of money, and that's just like extra costs you don't really think about that really do add up every day or every week, especially when you have a family of 5. Just because you can afford something doesn't mean you have to have it or you need it. And that's one thing I've learned, like, being off of TikTok for a month, is I haven't even had the urge to buy anything. And when I tell you, like, I had a tremendous shopping addiction, a lot of it was just being influenced by things, and I found my style and my niche, so I don't need to go out and buy anything new. Okay, this thing is looking a hot mess, but I promise you it functions so good. I have this little caddy for, like, my sponges and rags, and then I have a turntable, and then I actually ended up putting my hand towels in the back. But the way my sink is set up, it is not... With the garbage disposal and the piping and stuff, there's really no room for anything. So, like, you see all the cute influencers with, like, all the acrylic bins and the drawers and stuff. Like, that would never work in my sink, because look at how I have to have that, like, Tetris behind the pipe there. But I promise you, this works and functions so good when I don't have an excess amount of product. And that's the thing with organizing and decluttering. It's a constant cycle. You constantly have to go through things and get rid of things and reorganize it. And if the system works, you don't have to completely reorganize it. Or maybe it's not working, but you have too many things in that space. So, like, for instance, I just had too many cleaners in this space, so I'm going to remove them. And I actually ended up only taking out 2 of them, like the Murphy's Oil and the Fabuloso, because those are more floor cleaners. So I ended up putting them in my cleaning cabinet above my washer and dryer, but everything else stayed. So I love the Scrub Daddy sponges, but again, when you're penny pinching, I ended up getting the square Scrub Daddy sponges and then cutting them in half. So instead of getting 4, I now have 8. I really want to try the Scrub Daddy wand thing, because I've recently switched to the brushes again that I have there in that jar, because I absolutely hate washing dishes and it getting on my hands. And I'm not the kind of person that can just remember to wear gloves all the time, but using a brush that has a handle like that has literally saved my hands and the grossness and everything. While the Scrub Daddy works a little bit better, I just prefer using the brushes now, and I get all of them from Dollar Tree, and I stock up that way when they get nasty, because you can only run them through the dishwasher so many times. I just throw them away. And then as for my rags, they're actually dishwashing rags. I got them on Amazon in a big pack. I'm due for a new pack, But I hate the feeling of microfiber towels, and honestly, I use paper towels way too much. I'm trying to use less and just remember my rags. But here is how the sink turned out. This turns nicely, and it has everything that I reach for on the day-to-day basis. And of course, we are vacuuming because that's a must. And then I did move my kitchen table over a little bit onto like the entryway wall. I want to see kind of how it works. I really don't like it, but I like how much bigger my kitchen feels without it being like closer to the fridge. So I don't know. And then shoes actually have not been collecting right there because there's nowhere for them to sit. But anyways, I've rambled way too long. I hope you guys have a good day.